Close the center back seam of the collar. Please note the markings number 3 in the sewing pattern. Finish the seam with zigzag stitches. Iron the seam allowance into the back. Close the center back seam of the collar. 3. Iron seam allowance apart. Close the shoulder seams at notch 4. Make sure that these markings are on top of each other when sewing together. For reasons of better fit and movability, the back piece is a little bit longer than the front. That's why you'll have to stretch the front piece a bit while sewing. Only sew until notch 4. Carefully cut diagonally close to the seam without cutting into it. Iron seam allowance into front part. Sew the bottom edge of the collar to the neckline. 3. You have now sewn the seam between notches 3 and 4. Iron seam allowance inside the collar. Add fusible interfacing to the collar trim if fabric is quite thin. Carefully cut diagonally at notch 4. Finish edges with zigzag stitch from notch 4 along the long side. Sew the center back seam of the collar facing right sides together. Iron seam allowance apart. Baste or pin the collar facing right side to the front edges and onto the collar. Sew together. Cut slits along the curves. They should be about 1 inch apart. Iron seam allowance apart. Iron thoroughly and shape the collar using a knitting needle to make it a smooth curve. Turn seam allowance at the neckline to the inside. Sew invisibly by hand. Turn the edge of the collar inside and stitch along the shoulder seam.